This is Anti-Fragility Fitness. You're listening to John Davidson, JD. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you here now. And I'm talking about 6 domains of concern. And the first one was change management. And we went into suspending and respecting, voicing, presencing, listening, and embodied listening, showing up, seeing without judgment and criticism, sensing what has heart and meaning, and acting from that place, and being open to the outcome but not attached, letting go of fear and letting come something ready to be born. When I think about stress management, I think about first calming down. Stress management depends on a chance to occupy a rest, a refuge in the middle of things, in the midst. It's about a clearing in the deep, deep, deep forest of your life. And that clearing is something you have to be the bouncer of. You have to make that space among things. Because it's easy to get caught in the rapid flow, like a level 5 rapids river, of all these things going on when it's chaotic. That we learn by doing something different and then studying the change, probing it, analyzing it, and then doing something from there. We are in a chaotic system. It's very complex. But through it all, by utilizing these 4 or 5 capacities I talked about in change management, we can turn the volatility into seeing better, vision, seeing more clearly in the directness of our experience. We can turn the uncertainty into clarity by knowing the path by walking, with faith in action, active learning. We can convert complexity into understanding by holding space for seeing cause and effect relationships and seeing from our own wisdom the natural intuiting of a system that we're a part of, a pattern at play. And we can get the agility that we need. We have to be a sleuth. We have to have this sleuth agility to crack the code of something that we do not have the answer for. But if we keep going, if we keep trying to solve it, just like an inventor, eventually we'll win. But it's how we can stay longer and remain perseverant until the outcome comes our way, or the possibilities open up a window, a door opens for us to go through it. Because ambiguity is closely linked to integrity. The longer that we can tolerate ambiguity, the more integrity we can have, until something becomes clear. It's like holding in the gray, without thinking too much that we know what's going on and minimizing it too. We don't need to catastrophize. We don't need to deny it. We just need to stay in the middle, in the facts, with a devoted attention. So do you meditate? Do you practice mindful attention? I think one way is just to put the word mindfully in front of every verb that you do. I'm going to mindfully eat. I'm going to mindfully walk. I'm going to mindfully talk. I'm going to mindfully complete this task. I'm going to mindfully X. I'm going to mindfully Y. And as you do that, you begin to bring your awareness to the name of what you do, and your focus is more external and on the task. You can control your attention. And so in doing so, you can be very mindful of what you're doing by bringing a mindful awareness and attention to whatever you're doing right now. But it's a remembrance. Amnesia is the problem when we fall asleep. But we have to be aware that we are aware. We have to see our own seeing. So in managing our stress, 99% of our stress comes from thought, not the external situation. And because of the way we think about things and we resign to our stories about what's going on, we limit our chances to see the full spectrum of what's available to us. We edit reality. We edit ourselves. And then we condense ourselves and contract ourselves into a smaller sense of self that leads to quiet desperation, that leads to immobilization that leads to limited thinking, resourcefulness, responsiveness, alertness. It leads to the other side of courage. So your opportunity is to recenter yourself. And you can do that by centering yourself, by staying calm and giving yourself some calm words, maybe ones that you remember from the past that were very nurturing about how you described how you wanted to respond to the experience you had. It's like this. If you think of a time when things were just about as stressful, if you go back to 2008, what was your inner dialogue that brought you through? You got through it. So what was it that took you through it? External forces didn't just do it for you. You moved it. You changed. You were grown. How did you do that? So in managing stress, it's about recentering. Now, recentering means you take your feet, you mindfully move them 18 inches apart, and you might feel that you're grounded at the bottom of your feet down into the earth, maybe by a mile. You imagine a route down into the earth, and you might even imagine like a white light up through your head into the heavens and the sky, that you're rooted in the earth and that you're connected to the heavens and the ascending cosmos above. And it's those sorts of things that we can remember and realize that we are connected. We're connected to something bigger, forces that we pretend to understand, that we are source-centered, and that we are not alone, but that we are co-creative with the universe, as if the universe was a great choreographer, and we collide with it, we combine with it as co-architects, as we are the extra in the film and the protagonist at the same time in the central role. We have to listen and attend and create and intend. Both. Sometimes our intention is born out of our attention. And therefore, when you recenter yourself, you're taking a part, for example, of your body. Let's say you take your palm of your hand, you put it 2 inches above your navel. Maybe that's an area where you sense there's emotion, perhaps, or other areas where you sense stress or energy that is blocked. And as you touch that part of your body, you're there with a nurturing hand, physically giving yourself the attention to where things are, describing the current reality of what you feel to yourself. As if it was separate from you, you can have an intimate relationship with that stress response. Now, in lowering your stress, there's qualities in your personality that are important to know. You may like controlling things, or you don't. That's a comfort zone. Or maybe how fast you like making decisions versus being accurate. Or how you express yourself and communicate, whether you're outgoing and supporting others, or whether you're withdrawn. Maybe you're intellectually competitive. Perhaps you're confrontive or not. So by knowing a little bit about your personality based on how much frequency you tend to do things, you begin to know your propensity for certain behavior. And as you do, you can predict in certain situations whether you will be stressed or not stressed because it's unfamiliar to you. I mean, when your confidence is low and you're in an environment you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have a stress response. It's going to be higher. When the importance of the outcome, the decisions you're making are going to have a whole lot more risk and more weight, you're going to feel more pressure. That's going to affect how you pay attention. And when you're outside your comfort zones, so too are you going to have some impact on the way you pay attention. Now, what am I talking about? Well, we all have preferred ways of paying attention. So some of us like to be more aware and external, while others are more internal and analytical. While others are more doers, and we like to get things done right, versus figuring things out like an analyst. Or being aware, being in the here and the now, and kind of getting a feel for where others are and being sensitive to what emerges. We all usually have a predominant way of paying attention. And the good thing is that in certain situations when the pressure's off, this is fine because we can shift rapidly to these channels. But when the pressure's on, we find ourselves gridlocked, kind of jammed into one preferred way of paying attention because it's like Old Faithful. And when we miss paying attention to the right way in the right performance situation, mistakes happen. And when they do, stress comes even more. Think of it like an ice skater in a routine When you fall, your propensity for another fall is really high. Same thing with a gymnast. And in most performance situations, when we're overly sensitive to that downward spiral, we just continue to death spiral out. I mean, I remember watching some golf matches where a person couldn't get out of the sand trap, and the more that they tried to use the force to get out, the more they perpetuated the inability to get out. They created their own inflicted barrier because of how much force they were using to try to deal with the situation. So there really are some important psychological factors in how you manage stress. The other piece is movement, body movement. When you dance, you move around, you get up, you move around, take walks. That allows your whole body to utilize the energy that your stress response is holding. If you hold on to energy like that, it can be hard on your organs. It can be hard on your physical body. So it's very important that you have a routine for movement and activities. And the last one is to get out and have encounters with nature. That when you're out in nature and you're in the forest or by the lake, you pick the environment that really resonates with you. You slow down. You move from fast to slow. It gives you a gateway for reflection on what matters to you and what makes you grateful for what you've been given. And at the same time, it gives you healing, you know. When you're in nature, there's a quality of being healed. It heals you mentally and emotionally, kind of puts you back together and then gets you back to square one. I think of nature as a great restorer. It has great restoration. The word rejuvenate means to become young again. And so to recreate or take recreation means to recreate oneself. So with a commitment to meditation, you can do transcendental meditation through a course. You can do it in your home. There's plenty of YouTube videos. Or you can put on some quiet music and sit in a place for 15, 20 minutes. And you can just let your thoughts be there and observe. But I think most important is the breathing. That when you inhale, you take a diaphragmatic breath and you count 6 seconds. Put your tongue to the top of your palate. Close your mouth. Breathe in through your nostrils. And then hold for 12 seconds. And then when you let go, make the whoosh sound. Whoosh for 12 seconds. And do those cycles 10 times on 3 intervals per day. So that means you're going to do 30 total diaphragmatic deep breaths. This is also called box breathing. And so the breathing is most important. And when you say yes, when you do the in-breath, you're welcoming anything. Say inwardly yes. And when you let go and you breathe out, you're saying thank you. As if something was visiting and now has gone away. Thank you for being here. Thank you. See you soon. So that's the out-breath. So the in-breath is a yes. The out-breath is thank you. Now, in all of this, we have to make room in ourselves to be okay. We have to make room in ourselves to be weak, room in ourselves to be fallible, to not try to control everything and let go of our perfectionism, so that we don't think that we have power over certain domains that we really don't have control over. The weather system, these outer patterns and things we're a part of, and yet we have to be careful that we do not take responsibility where we do not have it. That's called reckless responsibility. So it's not about you making some big change in the world or trying to make everything happen or go away. It's the love for very small steps and actions that really bring some very significant gradual change to great things. And therefore, it's important that you continue to have a focus on the smaller things and make big deals out of them and not get too measured against the things that you compare yourself to, that you should be. Let go of your ideals. It's not time for them. They don't do you any good. You don't learn from them anyway. You learn by doing something you care about a lot. And when you compare where you are to what you want to create, you can teach yourself reality just as it is, and that changes your limbic system. That changes your reaction to stress because you're becoming more fluent in the truth. As you do so, you get more calm because now you're reporting great news to yourself. You're summoning your resourcefulness. You can call on your internal allies and wisdom to figure out really important dilemmas and solutions and be able to work through all of the learning that's needed to realize the gap that you're trying to resolve between what you have and what you want to create. So stress management is very much about your thinking. It's about slowing down, and slow is the new fast, because meditation is to just focus on one thing at a time, to be mindful at everything you're doing. It doesn't have to be getting away and compartmentalizing a moment to sit down, although it's very helpful to have a sanctuary and be silent. But it's about keeping it continuous. It's about taking social meditation throughout the day, right? It's about meditating everywhere you are. It's about focusing on one thing at a time. Not getting too trapped on the future or the past or what you think of you or what others are thinking, but rather being here right now in this ever-present moment, knowing how unfolding things are in the nature of reality, that when you meet it at the edge, the only way to know the future is by walking, and if everything the future needs is given to you in this moment, then just keep moving, but be aware. So stress management is also, it's about being out in nature, going out and being externally open to the way nature kind of designs your interior and changes you and inspires you. And so you want to be taking those kinds of excursions out there, to be touched by beauty, to be touched by that natural world, and allow yourself to be lived by it. So in the next audio, I'm going to go into the earnings management piece, and I'll see you there.